Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another planty video. My name is Shannon and this is Planted 386. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. We love all things planty here. I upload on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the places. So if plants are your thing, I hope you will consider subscribing. And if you are returning, thank you so much for being here, for commenting, for all the support. I appreciate it so much. Today's video is exciting. We are going to be talking about emergent anthurium leaves. I know a couple videos back I had mentioned seeing some exponential growth in my collection, and most of that is my anthuriums just exploding. So if you love anthuriums too, I hope you will stick around, and without further ado, let's get into it. You may hear the pitter-patter of little feet on the ground. Those are our puppies. We have a little visitor in town this week, and he is just very much into me, it seems. But this is Baby Boy. This is John's mother's puppy, and he is visiting. Here comes Sam. For those of you new, here's the tribe. And anytime I film, they are always interested, so they're making their grand debut or their appearance for this video. And if you hear a little bit of guitar in the background, my boyfriend John plays guitar and he is messing with his strings, so I'll do my best in post to eliminate as much of that as I can. But we live here, people are roaming about, and I hope that you can understand. So our first anthurium today is going to be none other than my king anthurium. This is the emergent leaf, and I just think this plant is so cool. There's a reason it is super popular amongst anthurium collectors, and that is just because it just speaks for itself, you know? Like, look at these leaves, the lobes, the ribbing. It's just so cool. So cool. To me, it looks like something that belongs on a different planet. It's very jungly. And when these leaves emerge, they start out kind of like almost like a purplish, and then they sort of fade to this beautiful shade of green. It's also a green in my collection that I don't have a ton of, and I know that's gonna sound like some of you are probably gonna be like, all green, it's all the same, like green is green. And no, there are very different shades of green, and this is more of a, I don't know, it's just different. It's not a dark anthurium. It's not going to get, you know, super dark in color. It's going to stay this sort of bright, vibrant jungle green. Is that a good word for it? If you know, you know. Outside of that, it's been relatively easy, to be honest, for me to grow. This is my second one. I did originally get one, and I think I got something fungal. It ended up not making it, and so I waited several months. I ended up doing a little bit more research on it, and I purchased this one. I believe I got this at EFG Orchids, which is a local grower here. They do not have an online website, or I would share it with you guys. I think I only paid $8 for it the second time around, so it was definitely affordable. It was teeny tiny. He's grown quite a bit, but I will say this is it's a relatively slow grower, at least for me. Anytime I get a leaf, I'm excited because it doesn't happen often. So with this anthurium, I feel like anytime you get a leaf, it really is a treat because it's not really one to put them out a ton. It is in this obnoxiously large pot just because I do have it in its next pot. Like, that's going to be the pot that it goes into next. I always try to keep like the next pot available for the anthurium, if that makes sense, because I do repot them so frequently. Like, I know this is going to outgrow this pot quickly, and so I always keep them in a cash pot, and then typically once it outgrows this pot, I will just pot it into the cash pot. I know that's no drainage, but I haven't had any issues doing it like that so far, so that's kind of why it's set up like that. They also love to have access to water, so it just works out really well. But this one is starting to puff. There's a little baby down there growing. And as I stated in a recent video, I said that I'm not really interested in propagating my Anthurium. I'm more interested in breeding them. So that's kind of why I am just kind of leaving that little guy there, at least for the time being. Maybe when I go to repot it into this larger pot, I will separate it. But for now, I'm just excited to have a pretty good sized king Anthurium in my collection. It's been a long time growing. I do have some pretty interesting Anthuriums in my collection, at least I would like to think. Ones that I don't really hear mentioned a ton, a lot of them hybrids, but the next one I have to show you is Anthurium Silver Blush crossed with Bessae af. So this is kind of what you can expect from the mature leaves. I would say this is quite a bit bleached just because I do have this in a very bright situation in my Mills Botall. This one has given me quite a bit of trouble, I will say. It is an Anthurium that I've had for quite a while. I feel like if I am comparing this to some of the others in my collection, even the next one I'm going to show you, I feel like it should be much, much bigger than it is, but this is one that I've had to rehab from scratch. So I'm just happy to see that we're here. This was actually the first leaf that it gave me once I mean, because I did have to rehab this from a stump. So usually when that happens, the first leaf it pushes out is always this sort of strange, wonky situation. But one thing that I think is so amazing about this plant in particular is this beautiful emergent leaf, very reminiscent of silver blush. I just love that, like, I don't even know what you would call that, like a coral, I guess. Just really, really beautiful in itself. I would consider that to be just as beautiful as watching a flower emerge on a plant. And yeah, one thing I just love so much about Anthurium is that the leaves will start out so ditty, so small, look how little they are, and then emerge into something so beautiful. And yeah, I also love the little pink on the sinus, a little bit of pink. So cute. I will keep you guys posted as to what this leaf becomes. I will probably repot this as soon as this leaf is done emerging. I think I was going to actually repot it and realized that it was about to push out a leaf and decided not to. So yeah, I think once this is finished unfurling, I will put it into a larger pot and see where that takes us. But yes, that is this gal. Next up is my Anthurium wendlingeri. I get wendlandii and wendlingeri. I don't know why, but in my brain, I want to always confuse the two. I will have the name on the screen as I always do, but this, in comparison to the one that I just showed you, is night and day, really. Piece of my hair. I got this from the Green Escape as a tiny little plug. We're talking tiny. Look at these little cute leaves. Oh my gosh, you guys, so cute. This took absolutely no time to upsize. I have only had it, gosh, I probably got this maybe back in May or June, I would say, and already it is just giving me leaf after leaf. This is the one that it's emerging right now, or is pushing right now, and If you've been around, you know that I love these sort of draping anthuriums. I had been wanting this plant for a while. I love it. Doesn't that look so beautiful? Like these two leaves just side by side. I don't know what that is, you guys. I just think that is so beautiful. Now, if you're just looking at her, I would say that there's probably not much to write home about, but I think that's what I love the most about it. It's just, it's simple. It's just simple and it's beautiful. And I cannot wait to see the flower. Just a baby, and I'm just growing him out, and I'm just elated to have him. He stays in my Millsbow cabinet, and I'm gonna have to find a different spot because he's already, the leaves are curling because they are touching the shelf, so I am gonna have to find a spot where it can just sort of drape. I love it in this pot. I think it looks so beautiful in this just sort of black glass vessel. It is in soil with the moss on top, as I usually put my Anthurium, and it has some amazing roots. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this one has been so easy to care for, completely the opposite of the bessae hybrid that I just showed you. And if you're looking for just a simple Anthurium to sort of brighten up a space, I think watching these pendant style leaves emerge is one of the most fascinating things in the hobby. Okay, you guys, next is a gifted Anthurium that I got from some local growers to me. They do have an Etsy, and they are called Planted. I will put their handle up on the screen. Super duper nice people. I met them at our local plant swap, and they were kind enough to bring me one of their first Anthurium hybrids, a seedling. And that seedling was a Magnificum crossed with forgetii. So this is the newest leaf coming out. So cute. I love this little sort of patch right here. I don't know if it's coming out on camera, of like sort of like a red. Can you guys see that? Looks like it's coming. The shape of the leaves, so cute, so cute. That was the leaf prior. And you're gonna see a little bit of cosmetic damage on some of these leaves, and that's pretty much just because of it bumping into things as it emerges. I try to be so careful to keep an eye on my emergent leaves, make sure they're not rubbing up on anything, but sometimes it just happens. But this one is so sweet. It's been a pretty easy grower, although kind of a slower grower. I don't know what that's about. It did at one point put out this sort of strange little leaf here, and I'm not sure what that's about. I'm pretty sure after it gave me that leaf, I decided to upsize the pot, and it could have just been from not having enough space in the pot to size up. So anyways, if you've ever had your Anthurium do that, like start to push a leaf and then it just stops emerging, or I don't even know how, it stops expanding is what it did. It emerged, it just stopped expanding. If you've ever had that happen, let me know what you think that is. But anyway, super pretty when it emerges, and it's just a fun little plant. I also love how elongated the leaf is. It's not really a wide heart, it's more of a elongated heart. It kind of, I don't know why I get sort of like Ace of Spades. I don't know why I get that, but I do. So pretty. Anyways, that's her. And then the next one I have is actually just right next to me, so I'll grab it. It is my Anthurium Silver Blush crossed with Forgetii White Stripes. So this one I got from Madison from Plant Therapy. She's on YouTube here, as well as Instagram, and she had crossed her silver blush and her forgetii white stripes, and this is the outcome. She produced several seedlings and she ended up selling a few of them. So I bought one off of her, and when she shipped this to me, it had come from Washington State, so all the way across the country. And when it got here, it was in really, really terrible shape. The poor thing had been like rattled out of the box or out of its little pot. This wasn't her fault. This was all on the shipping. And I ended up taking it, and I ended up putting it in like a little propagation vessel of water, to which it ended up bouncing back. But I think I got this plant, we're probably talking maybe a year ago now, and it is just now starting to look like a beautiful little plant. So it's taken a while. Here we are. This is the newest leaf. I am sad to say that there is this hole at the bottom. And unfortunately, as this leaf expands, it is just going to further accentuate that hole. But the leaf prior is a good indication of what this is going to look like. And I've waited a long time to kind of see what the traits are going to look like in this plant. And I have to say, I think she's quite cute. I think she is quite cute. I love this sort of wrinkly texture to the leaves, and she's quite bushy. I quite like it. I really don't have any intention of like splitting this or cutting it. I really think it looks beautiful as is, and because it took me so long to get here, I have no desire to chop it. It looks like, interestingly enough, this sinus is going to be fused, which has not been the case for these other leaves. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. We'll have to see what becomes of her. Isn't she so cute? Okay, while we're on the topic of forgetii, I am going to show you my forgetii. So that is this guy here. That is his newest leaf. So pretty. This is another one that has totally blown me away in terms of just how quickly it's grown. I got this back in March from the Green Escape, again as a teeny tiny little plug, super small. When I say plugs, I mean like so small. And yeah, I think I put it under 100% humidity when it got here in a cloche, and it outgrew the cloche in no time. And here we are a few months later, and it is a full-on plant at this point. There is a lot of cosmetic damage to these leaves. Unfortunately, I had this growing in the cabinet, and it has since graduated to ambient. In fact, I should have stated which of these are growing in ambient. My forgetii is, my mag crossed forgetii is an ambient, and my silver blush cross forgetii white stripes is an ambient, as well as my king anthurium. So all of those are in ambient. The other ones are in my Mills boat. I will take clips of where everything is just so you guys know, but if you're looking for an easy going anthurium to experiment with, I would say look no further than the forgetii. It makes a fantastic parent plant, so I do plan on breeding this once I get some flowers. It has not given me any flowers yet. It is in caterpillar. And yeah, I do plan on eventually cutting some of these leaves that don't look so nice, but I will wait until I get a couple really nice big ones. Like this is light damage. It basically was rubbing up against grow lights. So yeah, unfortunately, that's on me. I could probably just get rid of this leaf, honestly, and keep the 3, but I'm gonna keep them. I'll keep them until I get a couple really nice good ones, and then I will kind of trim it up a little bit. But yeah, it's been really, really easy back in March. So like I said, I haven't had it that long, but it has given me absolutely no trouble. So I do love the fused sinus, I will say. As much as I love a good set of lobes, I do like a good fused sinus. So yes, that is her. Okay, next is Anthurium fingers. This is such a cool Anthurium. I am so into these, like, I don't know, they're just like wild looking. I feel like they almost resemble philodendron to some degree, but definitely an Anthurium. And this one makes a fun one to breed, which is exactly what I plan on doing with it. I will say this one's been a little bit more challenging for me to grow than some of my other Anthuriums. It has also been a little slower to grow, similarly to, I would say, my King Anthurium. It is a little different in terms of the watering, and I've had to sort of figure that out. This is one that, while I treat it similarly to the rest of my Anthuriums in terms of the setup, the soil, the moss, etc., I try to let this one dry out a little bit more than my other Anthuriums, because I find when I treat it like my other Anthuriums, making sure that they, always have access to some water, it tends to do this on the ends, this sort of yellowing thing. Now, I'm assuming that's due to watering, but this one is also growing in ambient, so it could potentially be due to that. However, I am noticing on this new leaf, I don't see any of that happening, and that was the case on this emergent leaf. It kind of came out already sort of with these soggy tips, as we'll call them. Anyway, I'm very, very interested to see how big this leaf is going to get. It's still very, very new, and these take a little bit of time to fully harden off. So it is a lot of fun to watch that process go down. And yeah, I mean, how cool is that? How creepy cool. It's such a weirdo. Anyway, like I said, I have it growing in soil with moss on top, but the moss is pretty dry. I like to let the moss sort of dry out, whereas on most of my other Anthuriums, the moss never really gets dry. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes. Right now, it's just on top of my Blalladin cabinet, and I'm not going to recommend this one to a beginner, but if you do have some experience with Anthuriums and you're already growing a King Anthurium and you're doing that with ease, I would say that this should be no issue. Also, if you tend to be maybe an underwaterer, you'll probably do pretty well with this one. But yeah, it's a super cool Anthurium. I love these fun, wonky, crazy leaves. Okay, you guys, this next one is a wonky one, another wonky one. This is Anthurium clavigerum. Probably not one you hear of a ton, at least on YouTube. It's not one I've heard about a ton. This is its newest leaf. It is such a weirdo, but it is so fascinating to me. It is wild that this is an Anthurium. This is the leaf that it put out prior. They get massive, absolutely massive. Super duper jungle vibes here, and I have played about with moving this around the house. I'm gonna kind of set it down here. I'll give you that view. I've played around with moving this around the house, and it did okay with that. It does seem to prefer where I have it now, which is on top of my vittarifolium shelf, and it gets more light there. This is one that seems to prefer having access to quite a bit of light. When I did move it to a lower light area, it didn't suffer per se, it just stopped producing growth. So I have waited for a long time for this leaf, and so yeah, I'm really excited to see how big this gets. If this is any indication, I'm going to be out of space sooner than later. This is probably one that will wind up outside in the spring, unless I can find the right pot and the right space for this in the house, which I wouldn't mind that. It's just I have a feeling this guy is gonna get massive. I do have it in this super interesting vase setup, so no drainage, just a vase. I think I got it at the thrift store, topped with moss. And that's a pretty good view of how I keep most of my anthuriums. So if you're curious, definitely tons of perlite. I do have some pond mixed in there, or my semi-hydro mix. The roots look really good. And I'm thinking she'll probably be due for a repot. Probably after this leaf fully gets hardened off and settles in, I will repot this. Okay, you guys, the next one is my variegated Anthurium vittarifolium. This is one I got back in June, so I haven't had it that long, and I got this from Blue Moon Tropicals. I know she does have some more of these. This was just such a delight to get. It's one I've been wanting for a really long time, and the variegation is just absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to get my first strappy leaf. That is its newest, right here. And you can just see the variegation is going to be amazing. This was so tiny when I got it, you guys. I just showed this in a video not too long ago. Maybe it was Planty glow ups or something like that, but I recently talked about it, so I won't linger too long. But Anthurium vittarifolium is one of my all-time favorite plants. In my very first video on YouTube, I talked about it in that video, my large one, just because it's always giving me some sort of joy, and it's just been so easy to care for. So to have a variegated version is like, I can't, there's no words, but this makes officially my third vittarifolium. I will have to rehome one at some point or combine them or something, because there's no way I'm gonna have room for multiple of these. But if it's one that's been on your list, I would say definitely. It's an easy grower and it's just stunning. My next one is a bit strange. I did recently talk about it in my, I think, Planty Glow Ups video. So like the vittarifolium, I won't linger too long on it, but this is my Dock Block Michelle Crossed Self. So super pretty. The scuffing on this leaf is my fault. I accidentally scuffed this up against the door of the cabinet, which very, very sad, because I've been waiting for this leaf for a long time, you guys. This is one I definitely had to rehab, start over from scratch. It just sort of, I don't know what happened. It was doing well, and then it just started to fizzle out, and I ended up rehabbing it. But what is interesting about this is it came back with a fused sinus, which is so strange. This plant did not start out like that, so I'm not sure how that happened. You can definitely see, let's see, down here, the sinus is split on all of these younger leaves. And then it just, I believe it gave me this one here. It gave me this one. And I was like, oh, okay, that's different. And then it gave me, yeah, this one. And then I just was like, wow, okay. And then here we are. So the leaves are beautiful when they emerge. I almost feel like this is maybe crossed with forgetii. I don't really see, like, I don't know, I don't see the dock block traits. I'm so confused, you guys. I don't know. I'm definitely thinking forgetii. This is one I got from Plants and Pamperin. They are on Etsy. And yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, next is special. These are Anthurium seedlings that I grew from my Anthurium crystallinum. So my Anthurium crystallinum was my very first Anthurium. It's the one that got me into Anthuriums, and I loved last year just like watching that plant grow into this massive, humongous specimen. I think when I originally got it, it was probably the size of my forgetii that I showed you earlier. And I ended up putting it in my cabinet, and it grew in there for a long time. And I ended up having to take it out of the cabinet because it outgrew it. It just far outgrew the cabinet. So it's been living in ambient. It did put out 2 inflows. I was able to rub the 2 of them together. It ended up producing berries. I took the berries, I put them into moss, and here we are many, many, many months later. I do have probably about 7 or 8 seedlings. I probably have 4 that are like great, and the rest are just kind of, they're trudging along, if you will. But I wanted to kind of show you. I will put a clip in of my mother plant. She's not looking the best. I don't really think that she likes the spot that she's in, and I do feel like she needs more light than what she's getting. I'm hoping that over the winter months, because the sun is lower in the sky, it will get a little bit more light in the window that it's kind of currently next to, but I do need to figure out a solution for that because it is kind of sad to see it going downhill. Anyway, these are her babies. So this one here is the largest one that I have. It is going to be the one that I hang on to just because, you know, I don't know, it's special. It's the first time that I've ever made an Anthurium baby, so I am pretty proud of myself. This is the very first leaf. I'm just admiring it. That's given me some veination. And yeah, I'm kind of hoping to grow this one out, and just think it's so cute. So to show you kind of how they vary in size, this is another one. This one actually has been growing in the cabinet with no cloche, so I'm kind of experimenting with different levels of humidity and just kind of seeing what these seedlings can take. This one is starting to give a little bit of veination in the leaves and looks great. It looks great. Nice roots. I will take a few of these to the plant swap and sell them. This is another one kind of growing in the same cabinet but under a cloche. I can't really say that the extra humidity seems to be doing really that much extra. I mean, this one's under humidity and this one's just growing like in the cabinet conditions. So I'm thinking I can probably start taking these cloches off. The only thing about that is I do have to be better about monitoring the water because this one is pretty dry comparatively. The cloche does give me a little bit of, it's a little bit of a safety net when it comes to keeping these moist. But yeah, I just think they're so cute. I have 3 here. There's probably 3 more or 2 more in this cabinet, and then I have 3 more for sure, like that I'm growing separately, and then I have like another little container with just a bunch of seedlings. I guess you would call them runts, kind of growing in fluval. I can't throw them out. I don't know why. I don't know. It hurts my soul. But that is something exciting that I've been working on in the background, and it kind of gave me a little bit more confidence when it comes to my other anthuriums. As they start to mature, as they start to produce inflorescence, I definitely want to start breeding. So this kind of gives me a little bit of hope that I will be able to do that. But yeah, one last look. So cute. Okay, you guys, you probably noticed the cabinet very empty behind us, and that's because the last two I have came from the cabinet. So the first one is my variegated Anthurium water dragon. This is her newest leaf. You can kind of see her flopping about. Tons of variegation. Kind of hard to see what it's going to become, because it is sort of that Polaroid variegation where it just slowly emerges as the leaf matures. But this one's kind of given me a bit of a run for my money. This was the first leaf that I got once bringing it home. There's a little bit of damage here, but I realized, well, when I got this plant, it was very, very root bound in its pot. It seemed like it was enjoying its situation. And if you watched my last video, you know that I like to repot after purchase, because I do better working with my own substrate in terms of watering. But I potted this up, and it struggled with edema in the beginning. Like, I just kept getting, the leaves just kept getting worse and worse. So I ended up getting rid of a lot of those original leaves. I think I only have 2 left, these 2 here. And since then, it's given me all of this other growth. It's settled into its new pot, but the growth pattern on this plant is so interesting. I actually have it tied at the bottom here with just some, this is like waxed leather cord, which I really like for tying back plants. And just to kind of keep it in an upright position, I feel like it needs more support. I'm just not sure what that looks like yet. I do feel like this needs some sort of collar to kind of keep it growing in an upright position. I feel like it could stand for a larger pot, but I am afraid to repot it because of what happened last time. The roots on this plant are crazy. They are so thick and chunky. So I don't really know what my next move is yet on this one. If you guys have any advice, let me know. But I just wanted to share it because I feel like it's an anthurium that you don't see very often. You don't really hear it talked about very often. I did get this from Blue Moon Tropicals back in June, so I haven't had it that long. But yeah, this leaf it's definitely got much more time to expand. It's pretty fresh. This is the one that it gave me most recently, and it's so funny because it's kind of like the king anthurium in the way that these leaves will just twist and turn, and the petiole will do whatever it has to do to reach the light. So yeah, that's another thing. It just kind of grows a little wonky, but I do really enjoy it. I am going to figure out a better way to secure it. And yeah, like I said, if you guys have any tips on that, let me know. For now, I'm just kind of using that piece of string. Seems to be working all right. And then the very last one I have for the day is going to be my Queen Anthurium. She is so heavy, you guys. It's to the point where I can barely lift it up. So this was the first really good, like, big leaf that I got. If you've been around for a while, it always sits right here in the cabinet behind me, so it's pretty much grown up on camera. I do like that because I can kind of go back and watch its journey. I do see issues with this sort of spotting on the leaves as they mature, and I know that that's something that I think a lot of queen parents seem to experience. I'm not sure if this is a watering thing or if this is fungal or if it's just a lack of nutrients, or maybe it's not getting enough nutrients. I did recently chop a lot of the smaller leaves back. It had held on to a lot of its original leaves, even though I had put it in this sort of strange situation, let's kind of talk about that. I have it in a cashpo in a nursery pot, and then this is actually a vase that broke. So the bottom of this broke completely flush, and I thought, wow, you know, I could probably use that as a collar. And so that's essentially how I have this set up. You can see roots growing in here like crazy. And I'm to the point now where I have more aerial roots coming out. So I need to kind of figure out what the next step is for this plant. It is going to be interesting kind of taking this all apart when that time comes. It's not a project that I am looking forward to. Perhaps it's something I will film because, to be honest, it's something like I don't even know what I'm gonna do. So it's something that we could probably figure out together on camera. But anyways, this was the leaf that it gave me prior to this one. And this is its most recent, still emerging. I wouldn't say that this is going to expand a ton further, but my goodness, there's a reason this is such a coveted plant. It's so beautiful. It is absolutely such a joy. I can't say that I've experienced issues growing this plant. It's been really, honestly, nothing but a breeze. I believe I got this back in March from Ecuagenera. It has always lived in my cabinet. I don't really see a reason to take it out of the cabinet until it gets to the point where it just doesn't fit anymore. It just seems to love it in there, and I love how these leaves emerge, just so beautiful. I love watching them expand. I am a sucker for a pendant style anthurium. When I see the spotting on this leaf, it almost seems like a watering issue. So I don't see any roots. Let me put this down. Gosh, guys, it's so heavy. I don't see any roots like coming out of the bottom of the pot. So I'm thinking that this probably is a watering situation, and perhaps that's edema. So maybe I will bump back the water in the cashpo and let the cashpo just be dry and just water this top section of aerial root and moss. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Perhaps I should just repot it. What would you do? What is your take? All right, guys, that is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of these leaves in their emergent form. I was so happy to share them with you. They are such a joy to see in my collection on the daily. I look forward to new anthurium leaves more than any other genus in my collection. So yes, if you found that interesting, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe. It's just a free way that you can help my channel grow, and it also tells you any single time I upload. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!